I'm going to go to our first guest tonight, Scott Corso. I've gotten to know him over time, and he has done some amazing things in his physical therapy practice. We've got Scott unmuted. Scott, welcome to the presentation. And I know all the health professionals tonight are interested in hearing, okay, tell us what kind of results are we seeing in people who are injured or have some of the most common injuries out there?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Mike. Well, for over 25 years as a physical therapist, the leading focus for me has been, how can I help my patients get back to the things that they love to do? And as a result of that, I've had the opportunity to study many systems and tools for training. And the last 3 years, I've been implementing BFR. And I see it as the biggest game changer because of its ability to amplify the benefits of all the other systems and tools of training that I've used. And it was really just the overwhelming science that compelled me to get started with BFR. But what has really kept me going and using it is the stories that I've heard from my patients and how they've improved because of the use of BFR. And I just want to share a couple of those stories with you. The first one, my patient wrote to me, "Hi, Scott, great news. I'm out of the walking boot and cleared for driving. The surgeon said he cannot even see the fracture in today's x-ray. Being 55 years old and female, I did not expect that my bone would be fully healed in just 5 weeks and 3 days from surgery. I knew I was gaining strength and function very quickly with our PT sessions, but to find that the bone healed so quickly too was such a bonus. I wanted to send a heartfelt thank you for using the BFR bands to aid in my recovery. I felt so weak and atrophied after having to sit for the first weeks and feel so much stronger already. I'm so grateful that you educate yourself on newer therapies and employ them. I think it made all the difference in the world. Thanks again." I just want to say that the next visit that I saw her for a treatment, she told me that the day after she got out of her walking boot, she went for almost a mile walk on a rocky, hilly trail with lots of roots. Now, I didn't recommend that to her. But the next day after doing that, her leg felt great. And then here's what another patient had to say. He said, "I'm 71 and have been using BFR training for almost 3 years. I've worked out all my adult life and have modified my training with age and injuries, much more functional training, but also still strength. After 2 rotator cuff surgeries, Achilles rupture, and most recently, 2 torn hamstrings, these were my biggest setbacks. With rehab and BFR training, I've been able to get my strength, range of motion, and muscle back. 3 years ago, I lost approximately 8 pounds of muscle and often had tendonitis in my elbows and shoulders. Now, since training with the BFR bands and some diet adjustments that I've made, I've gained my weight and muscle back and have not experienced any tendonitis. I'm a big believer in BFR training. And in fact, he's such a big believer in BFR that he purchased a set of B3 bands for his home use, but also then went out and purchased 2 sets of bands for his sons as well. And, as I look at this, given all the research that's behind the benefits of BFR, especially relating to human growth hormone and nitric oxide, it really doesn't make sense to me to not use these as a tool with my patients when I have it available. And I just want to share, as I finish up here, just one example of a way that I've been using BFR with my patients that may be a little bit less obvious. And one of those cases is after a rotator cuff repair. And in those first stages, oftentimes you'll get a protocol from the surgeon that says that really with that shoulder, all you can do is gentle passive range of motion, have them squeeze a ball, and maybe do some light submaximal isometrics. So one of the things I like to do based on the research with BFR is to put the cuffs on their legs, get them on the bike for 5 or 6 minutes, then have them come off the bike, do 3 sets of heel raises and some body weight squats to really get them feeling that burn, because I know that when that has happened, we've crossed that lactate threshold, we've created that metabolic disturbance that has signaled the brain to release that growth hormone and the blood vessels to release that nitric oxide. So I know that even though we haven't put the cuffs on their upper arms at that point, they're still getting that benefit of that growth hormone that's flowing systemically. And also that nitric oxide is helping to loosen things up, decrease their pain experience, and also start to promote tissue healing.
Scott, that's awesome. So it brings up a really interesting point, Scott. So share with everybody on the call, they may not be a physical therapist, but they might get injured. They might fracture. Let's say somebody on the call has a knee surgery, right? And they can't do anything with the knee, but they're at home. From what you just said, they could get the bands and work their arms. Now tell everybody on the call, why would somebody who's not a physician, or even a physician who's telling somebody at home, why would we want them at home doing a non-injured body part light exercise? Why is that so beneficial to healing?
Well, because of that nitric oxide release, it's a vasodilator, so that's going to help bring more blood flow into the area. It's going to help promote the tissue healing. And a lot of times when you're in a rehab situation, you're seeing your therapist once, maybe twice a week, but there's still so much more time that can be capitalized on if they're doing something at home.
Exactly. So for everybody on the call, whether you're a health professional or if you got kids, whenever there's injury, people tend to sit around and because they're injured, right? And that does not help promote healing. So what Scott is sharing with you, and I've experienced, as soon as the swelling's over, it could be 2-3 days and there's no more active swelling, we can put the bands on a non-injured body part. So if it's a shoulder, we can put them on the legs. If we've got a leg injury, we can put them on the arms. And you're going to be able to get that release of growth hormone and nitric oxide. Basically, you're going to double healing time. So just think about that one aspect of BFR. When there's injury, trauma, surgery, repair going on, we can use the BFR bands on a different body part, and in many cases, double the healing time. As Scott said, a lady's fracture healed in 5 weeks. That typically is an 8 to 10 week heal. So Scott, one more thing I want to ask you for all the health professionals that are on. What percentage of people do you think are coming through your clinic and you're doing manual therapy? Are you doing BFR on? Just give them kind of a bird's eye view.
I would say that probably 80 to 90% of the patients that come through, if not more. Basically, if I'm doing therapeutic exercise, and ultimately I end up doing therapeutic exercise with just about everybody, if they don't have any other issues that would keep them from doing BFR at the time, I'm using the BFR because I know that it's going to amplify the benefits of the exercise, because I can't exercise them at an intensity level strong enough to get the benefits that I'll get if I can put the BFR cuffs on them.
Yeah. You know, and Scott, I've watched your physique change. What do you do for exercise?
Basically, I use BFR with every exercise. I work out 5 to 6 times a week for about 20 to 30 minutes. And that's including my warm up and my cool down.
And what have you seen in your physique?
I've seen some significant changes. Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Scott, thanks for sharing. Hopefully all the physical therapists and people in rehab and therapy have listened tonight and picked up some great information from you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to our next guest, Janine Grohl. Now, Janine is a health coach. So we have a big population of people who have gotten certified in either health coaching or personal training or fitness. That's Janine's world. She is every day in her life, and her husband own a gym. They are helping people with health or fitness or performance or weight loss. And she's not only seen wonderful changes in herself, but she's going to share some stories with you about what she's seen and all the people she's helping with BFR. Janine, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Dr. Mike. It's great to be on the health coach as a health coach. I've been in the health industry and the fitness industry for about 30 years now. And so it's kind of, been exciting to see the changes that take place, but I definitely feel like this is one of the greatest changes that's come along. I've actually specialized a little more in women's health. And so you mentioned maybe bringing up some things on women's health. And it seems like, a lot of it, there could be some genetic, but a lot of it is environmental too, in the ways that we take care of ourselves. And for example, in my own family, we have a lot of the genetics of diabetes, hypothyroidism, cancer, scoliosis, osteoporosis, and I myself have scoliosis and hypothyroidism, and hoping to prevent all the other things. And so it's always been one of my missions to kind of help others prevent those type of diseases. And so that's why I enjoy doing what I do so much. But some of the things that I feel like that people struggle with as I've been in the coaching industry is taking time for themselves. Especially women tend to be a little more hesitant to take time for themselves as they're caring for others. For women, we struggle sometimes more hormonal, but also men do, with testosterone issues and stuff. And weight issues, we put on baby weight as we have children, and then as we get older, a lot of us put on a little bit more weight and then struggle with different health issues, which I feel like using the bands in my health coaching has been a no-brainer with all of these issues. I mean, it's just perfect for all of them, because bands, the BFR training helps, like you were explaining earlier, with so many of these. For example, taking time for yourself. If you don't have time to, even though I'd recommend people go to a gym just because I love gyms, but I know a lot of people don't have that time. And so it's just very simple to put it on in the morning or something whenever they can during the day, to take like 10 to 20 minutes to do just a short workout. And also the BFR training helps a lot with the hormonal issues. Like with my thyroid, it's helped to be able to, for my body to be able to produce the natural thyroxine that it needs from that stimulation from the pituitary glands, from the growth hormone. So that growth hormone helps accentuate and helps the body work better for men and for women, and then especially because I'd say probably about 80% of the people that I see are for weight loss. The bands help immensely with that. A lot of times they can't exercise at the intensity that they need because of some of the struggles that they're having, either with weight and health. And so they're able to just do something like you were saying, walking and things like that to just start with. And then it will help to burn those additional calories that their body has a hard time burning if they're just doing simple walking. So they can accelerate that calorie burn and get a little better effect that way. And also with so many of the health benefits, I always tell people that BFR training is like exercise elevated, Here in Utah, we say, live elevated. This is exercise elevated. All the benefits, the health benefits that you get with exercise becomes elevated. So many of these health challenges that they're struggling with, some of the ones that I just described in my own family are helped, especially things like diabetes, which a lot of my clients struggle with, or, hypothyroidism. A lot of women struggle with that. Or things like, just even, I've had clients with cancer and losing their strength and stuff like that. So getting that back, or just as they age, getting the sarcopenia or loss of muscle, which is huge. And so just helping them get their lean muscle back is amazing and helps them feel so much better and be able to be stronger and fitter and do everything that they live the kind of life that they want to live. And that's usually the main goal as coaches, is just helping them live the life they want to live.
Right.
So I've really enjoyed it. I've seen huge changes in myself and in others.
So Janine, first question I'd have if I was listening, it would be, I don't like to exercise. I can't lift heavy weights. I can't do a 45-minute CrossFit. I just can't do those kind of things. What kind of things would I have to do if I was to get the BFR bands?
And that's a good point, because a lot of them are a little intimidated at the very first. like they feel like they are going to have to do that kind of things. But we just generally start them out with, putting the bands on, doing like taking the resistance tubing and just doing some light bicep curls if they're doing that for arms, just some different light exercises, or just even putting the bands on, going for a walk or biking. I loved swimming. My parents used them swimming, and they really needed to start off very gentle. And so that was a really good way for them to get started, and they're waterproof, so it's perfect that way.
Right. So have you seen anybody, Janine, and there's all types of people watching the recording and live. Have you seen anybody that wants to exercise, wants to lose weight, that we can't get, that you haven't been able to get the bands on and start them doing some light stuff?
Well, I had one client that had lymphedema in her legs. And so we just started, in fact, you met Holly there. And so we started her off with her arms and not using her legs with the bands. And she had phenomenal results. I mean, she started getting so much stronger. She ended up losing over 200 pounds. And so it was, by using the bands, we were able to help her exercise, where before she was not able to do much at all. I mean, exercise was really, really painful for her. And so just by sitting in a chair and we just had real light dumbbells, like 3-5 pound dumbbells, sitting in a chair and doing some simple exercises from the chair with the bands on her arms. And then eventually, because of her weight loss and everything, surprisingly, she was able to start using them on her legs, even with because her lymphedema improved. So she was able to start using them.
What about all the ladies out there that are already exercisers, runners? They're running an hour or two a day, or they're really training long and hard. We've got a lot of ladies who are already, why would they want to put the bands on and reduce their training time down to 15 to 20 minutes? Wouldn't they get worse results?
Well, that's a good question, because I really had to wrap my brain around that myself, because I loved exercise, and I was probably exercising 2 or 3 hours a lot of times. And I like to do triathlon training. Sometimes can be like a part-time job, working out 4 to 8 hours a day sometimes. And so this was really hard for me to understand when I first heard about it. And Dr. Mike, when you said, just use them for 20 minutes, I almost laughed, because I was like, that's not even a warm up.
Yes.
So that was really hard, but I had realized I'd always struggled trying to get my body fat down. And once I started dropping my exercise time, my body fat actually started dropping, and my lean mass started increasing, and we could measure this on our body comp machine. And it was amazing that I thought I was exercising high intensity, but I wasn't fatiguing out those past twitch. I was just doing more of the endurance type. And so as I started working with people the same as I had, that overtraining, going so much and then dropping them down, we started seeing better and better results in their body composition tests, and also just lowering the stress levels of their body. Because a lot of times, like a one gal I'm coaching right now, our cortisol levels are so high from working out for 3 to 4 hours a day. And so we're getting our cortisol levels down by cutting our workouts to that 20 minutes a day.
Exactly. So for everybody listening who works in the health or athletic industry, imagine being able to reduce in your hardcore people, imagine reducing their training volume by 50%, 70%, 80%. How much that could free up their life, extend the career of their ability to maintain exercise, but they got better results. That's the shocking part. You're working out significantly less, but because the bands are on, it's like Janine said, you have elevated your exercise to a level that you can't achieve if the bands aren't on. And let me repeat that one time, and then Janine, just one more comment from you. You are elevating your exercise results to a level that is not attainable, no matter how long you train, if the bands are off. Because when they're on, you're putting your muscles into an advantage of being able to fatigue deeper and quicker. And Janine, if you could just touch on that one more time.
Yeah, it's really difficult to get somebody to that deep fatigue without heavy weights. and a lot of time at the gym when we're doing our personal training and things. But with these, I can get them to that deep fatigue in as little as 5 minutes, and it just blows them away. It really does. So it lessens the load so they don't have the injuries that often occur when you're in training. And it also accelerates the benefits that we're wanting to achieve in our clients, in ourselves and in our clients. So it accelerates the benefits that they're trying to achieve, whether it's toning and firming and strengthening and weight loss, all those things that they've come to us for, then we're able to help them. So as a coach, there's just no way I train anybody without the bands anymore, because I feel like I'm doing them a disservice if I'm not helping them reach their goals in the most effective way.
Awesome. Thanks for Janine for coming on and sharing that with us, and make you and Chris travel safe in your return home. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we get to Dr. Adams, you're hearing an interesting theme tonight. This is not like a little tool that you occasionally pull out. Scott Corso, very experienced, longtime physical therapist. 80% of the people he's seeing, he's using BFR. This isn't a tool. He is replacing or adding to every therapeutic exercise he does. Now you just heard from a health coach. Every person she coaches that she is going to do exercise, they are going to use the bands. She just told you, why would I exercise or have them exercise without? I'm doing a disservice. So what you're starting to hear is this is a replacement. This is going to forever change how all of us approach exercise, and you are on the cutting edge. Now let's go talk to a doctor. Many of you are busy health professionals, right? You're not going to have time to be a health coach. You're not going to have time like a Scott Corso to implement this, but you would love to be able to help your patients or clients, but you maybe only have a few minutes with them each time you see them. Well, we've got the perfect turnkey solution for you. Let me bring up Doctor. I apologize, I didn't get Dr. Adams' slide up here. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. But we'll just stick with this slide right here. Actually, I might just go live if you don't mind, Dr. Adams.
No, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, let me stop the share here and let me find you on the screen and get your video up and pin you. Spotlight, there we go. Well, Dr. Adams is a very successful chiropractor in Wakarusa, Indiana, and he's the perfect example of somebody who's busy. So he's not going to be able to take on a lot of time or a lot of work, but he has recognized the benefits of this, and he's going to share with you how he's been able to implement it in his busy practice. Dr. Adams, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Mike, and welcome everyone on the call. It's great to hear from a PT and a health coach as well. And just, again, I get insight every time I get on these calls, and I just, again, I'm excited and encouraged to be a part of the BFR and B3 journey. And it's been great for me personally and for my family. And again, in the office, I listen to people share life. I listen to people share challenges, and I ask questions. And again, I always, even before BFR and B3, if a new patient was coming in, I ask, what do you do for exercise? At that time, before BFR and B3, I would encourage and support, modify, and just help them along their exercise journey without, much input other than, okay, you might want to do this versus that. And again, I've always had a passion for exercise and fitness. So when I first looked at B3 and BFR, like many on the call and many that we've talked to, it's like, oh, it's too good to be true. And I soon found out I was in good company, because the doctor who brought BFR to the US, Dr. Jim Strayg-Gunderson, thought the same thing. So if he thought the same thing and I thought the same thing, I thought, hey, I'm in pretty good company. So and again, maybe just let me back up just a moment and talk about what really got my attention beyond just my personal experience was my dad at the time was 83 years old. He was shrinking and having trouble getting, just being mobile, and complicated with a neuropathy in his legs for 19 years. And I said, I've used this technology. I've had great success for me personally in my body. And I've heard it helping put, muscle on seniors and helping with neuropathy. And I said, well, I don't really know if this is going to help, but hey, it's worth a shot. And he said, let's go. So after 7 weeks of him riding a stationary bike for 7 to 10 minutes and doing light, pulley things on with, attached to his handlebars, in 7 weeks, he put 1 inch on his arms, over 2 inches on his quads, 1/2 inch on his hips, minus 1.5 inches on his waist. And lo and behold, the neuropathy was gone after 19 years. And he said, the results are just a miracle. And, I couldn't disagree with that. And it was great to be able to witness that miracle right before my eyes. And so that got my attention, that it's like, okay, this is too good just to keep to myself and share with my family. So that's kind of where I'm at here presently. And so again, in sharing with patients, I just look at it as an opportunity to share BFR and B3 with them, like it was for my dad. And as Dr. Mike said, I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time. I've been in practice 29 years. I've never advertised, and I'm as busy or busier than I want to be. And so again, I let the B3 Share app do most of the work. Again, I have a conversation with new patients coming in, and I may say to them, if I could show you an easier, faster, better, and safer way to exercise or achieve your fitness goal, would you be interested? And believe it or not, I've never had anybody say no. And so I'll make a note and I'll say, okay, well, we're going to come back and talk about that later. I don't want to overwhelm people with changes in their life and lifestyle all at once, because again, some people, we all know, decide to go on a diet, exercise, stop smoking, or some other habit all in the same day. And that just doesn't really, isn't really productive in the long haul. It might be for a week or two, but again, that's not life sustaining. So I think of, again, how congruent this is to their life. And again, existing patients, I listen to them share life. They may say, well, I'd like to exercise, but my knee hurts, I can't do cardio. My shoulder hurts, I have shoulder issues, can't lift heavy. I'm getting ready for a class reunion, I want to get in shape. What do I do? And so again, it's just been fun to, again, listen to people share life and be able to offer solutions, because again, they've always looked for guidance from me for health and input on that. And so again, it's very congruent with what I do as a chiropractor. And again, the conversations may last 1 to 2 minutes. And if it's close to a shift change, it may be 4 to 5 minutes if I've got a little extra time. But again, the B3 Share app does most of my work. And what I tend to do is, again, I ask them if I would send them a video, a short 3-minute video, would they watch it? And if they agree, I send it. If they don't agree, I don't send it. And again, I don't push, I don't sell B3. I offer an opportunity and a solution. And on their next visit, if there's a further interest in what is this technology all about, then I have my staff come in and do the 3-minute arms or 4-minute booty. And then I'll come back in at the end of the demo and I'll discuss the lifetime coaching aspect that B3 offers, the 30-day money back guarantee, 12-month warranty, the PayPal option of 0 down for 6 months. And then I either sell from my inventory or send them the B3 shop app or link. And then we'll send the B3 coach a short email highlighting their exercise goals or challenges that they're pursuing. And again, I think, again, BFR and chiropractic are very congruent. And I tell people BFR supports and helps the body do what it already was designed to do, and that's express life and heal. And again, BFR doesn't add anything from the outside; it adds life from the inside. And I've been very excited to just be a part of this and watch people's lives transform and make an impact on those in a great way. So that's where I'm at in my B3 journey, and it's been great.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Adams. So, Doc, what would you say to a new doctor who's like, Doc, man, sounds great. Science is good. I'm busy. I wouldn't know where to start. How am I going to be able to do this? Because you help a lot of doctors get started, right? What do you say to them, and what would you say about getting started?
Well, I think, again, if I use my experience as an example, I'd tell them that, again, I don't do things in the office. I don't have time, and I let B3, the Share app, and the company and the coach do the work for me. And again, I onboard them, and then I let B3 take over. And so I don't want, and I wasn't looking for another thing to manage in my practice. It's like, all right, I've got enough things to manage. I'm not looking for something else to move and juggle. And so B3 has very much helped take the load off once the concept and the technology is introduced. So, and again, people love that aspect, that they have access to a B3 coach to say, well, geez, I'm training for a 5K. What do I do? Well, did you ask your coach? Oh, that's a great idea. So they get on email and ask the coach. Well, I'm training for, a triathlon. What do I do? It's like, I don't know. And again, I don't want to call Janine and ask her. So I say, get on the email and ask your B3 coach. So again, it's very supportive in that way. And again, very user-friendly.
Right. And it sounds like, Doc, this is, whether we got a lot of people on the call that aren't doctors, right? But they have a network of people they talk to just like you do. So anybody can do this with the people they know, right? They can have these short conversations. They can go to the mobile app and share the education, and then they can refer them to B3 to get the bands. And then, as you just mentioned, B3 provides lifetime coaching. So for everybody on the call, whether you're a doctor, trainer, therapist, or not a health professional, I mean, you can do the same thing that Scott Corso's doing, that Janine's doing, that Larry's doing out in San Diego, that Dr. Adams is doing. Doc, just last question. Where do you see this going? You think this is a gimmick or fad, or where do you think this is going in the future?
Well, one of the things that excited me about the opportunity to become part of B3 was the big picture. And so I definitely think, again, if we look just back from the transformation of when it was introduced really to the USA Olympic team in 2014 and where it is now in just a short 8 years, it's just like, wow, it's blown up everywhere. So not only Olympic teams, professional teams, football, basketball, there's colleges now, high school athletes are using it, just it's going everywhere. And again, I see it as an exciting opportunity to be part of a movement of impact that again is going to change the trajectory of life and exercise in the future. And again, it's just, BFR adds life to years and years to life. No question about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Doc, for being on. It was great to hear from you tonight. We're fortunate you're part of the team, and keep doing